Hi everyone, welcome back to Power 365's Power Shorts. Today we're going to be looking at working with arrays within Power Automate and specifically looking at the functions we can utilize to help us manipulate the data. To keep this Power Short fairly short, I've already composed the flow process. I've set up two arrays that I've manually composed, which contains a list of 8 different sports in each. The commonalities between the two, and we'll see how we can manipulate this data through the flow process. The first function that I'd like to look at is the contains function. This is a very common function but can be very useful within arrays because it's commonly built in with a condition that says if this array contains a certain string value, then go down a certain flow process. In this instance, we're checking to see if the compose array of sports 1 contains the string of golf. This will return a Boolean result. Then we're going to look at the skip functionality. So this skip function allows us to skip a number of values from within the array, and it will get everything thereafter that value that you've defined to skip. In this instance, we're looking at the compose array for sports 1, and we're expecting it to skip 3 values. So if we open sports 1, you can see it should get everything after tennis from basketball onwards. Then we're going to look at the intersection function. So this compares 2 or more arrays and pulls back the values that are existing within both. As you can see, I've passed it to both arrays. I should be expecting to see any commonalities between the two. If we open this up, you can see that there are some commonalities, so we're expecting something to result there. Another useful function is checking the length of an array. So in this instance, and for the purpose of demonstration, I've passed it the length of both arrays, so I should expect to see the value of 16 here. Then we're looking at the union function. So this essentially pulls back the unique values from the arrays. So it gives me a list of only values that are unique, so I shouldn't expect to see duplicates across this. Then we're going to compose the length after the union. This will essentially see if there's been any duplicates in this process. So here we can see the total value if there are duplicates, and then here we can see the value of just the unique values. If there are anything here, and there has been duplicates, you'd expect to see values within the intersection. You'd expect to see this length being larger than this length. Also, a very good bit of functionality within Power Automate is the ability to create arrays and append to arrays. In this instance, I've done that by initializing an array of domain names, listing users within the system, just 10 of them, and I'm grabbing back the domain name for each. Then I'm using the append to array variable action, and I'm composing the array to see the outputs at the end. We've got the ability to then join all the results of the array with a string delimiter value that we define. In this instance, I've pulled back some email addresses, so it's common that I would use a semicolon as a delimiter. I could then use this in any mail or email processing. Then we're using the first function, so this just pulls back the first result of the array value, and we're trying to get the first full name from that array. And then you can also choose to pull back a specific result within the array. This will pull back the objects within it also. In this instance, I'm pulling back the third result, or you might see it as the third, but the indexing actually starts at 0. So I'm going to be expecting to see the 4th result here. So how does that all look when we've run the flow? As you can see, I've got the 2 sports arrays that I've composed here. Then we've also got the contains function, checking if sports array 1 contains golf and results in a Boolean value of true, because it does. Then we're looking at the skip functionality, where we can see that it's pulled back everything after tennis, because we told it and defined it to skip the first 3. Then we've also got the intersection function, so this pulls back the commonalities between the 2 arrays. In this instance, we can see that golf and skiing appears in both. Then we check the length of the array, or the length of both arrays, and as expected, we're seeing 16. Because we had a value and return in the intersection, we should know that there are essentially duplicates within this. So the union has removed those for us. So this now only contains the unique values. Then we're confirming that by checking and composing the length of the array after the union. So now we can see that it's 14 and it's removed the 2 values that have been pulled back from the intersection. Then we've got the results of the domain names that have been pulled back, the 10 values that I've requested from the system. This is the result of the variable that I've created. Then we were doing a join to concatenate these with a string delimiter that I've defined. As you can see, I used the semicolon. Then we're also pulling back the first result that's returned to us from the array. In this instance, you can see it's correctly pulled back the first value. Then we're pulling back the specific result that we've got from the array, which in this instance, you can see it's pulled back correctly for me. Hopefully that's helped. If you've got any comments, please leave them below. And if not, we'll see you in the next one.